I'm Mavis Fodness. In our latest edition for Star Media, we went on the road today, and we're at Rock Ranch in rural Fields, Minnesota. And today with me, I have Marie LaRock, who, with her husband Dan, started and owned Rock Ranch. And then I have Carissa Palmberg. She is the director of the equine assisted counseling that occurs here at Rock Ranch. So Marie, we'll start with you. I think happy anniversary. You established Rock Ranch in 2016, so this is your 10th anniversary. If you can think back a decade, what were you thinking of Rock Ranch, and what did you envision it to be like back then?
When my husband and I first decided to start Rock Ranch, I knew that I wanted to provide horsemanship lessons for kids, but I also wanted to provide opportunities for kids to learn or to grow physically, cognitively, and socially and emotionally. So that really is our mission statement, to develop those skills along with their horsemanship skills, and then all of that under it just taking place in a Christ-filled setting. So that is our mission statement. It started with our Ride Rock Ranch program, and that's our riding program. And at the time, I was working in the schools as a speech-language pathologist. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and then a master's in speech and language. So I was working in the schools in speech and language, and I could see the applicability of moving some of that curriculum and teaching kids while they're riding horses as well. And during that time when I was doing my studies, I did a practicum in North Dakota in that practicum, it was called hippotherapy. So that's providing speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy using horses. And then after we moved here, I was volunteering at Horsepower. At that time, they were on the west side of Sioux Falls. And they were affiliated with an organization called PATH, the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. So that was kind of the path I was going down with, and I really liked what they were doing. And that's the vision that I saw. I want Rock Ranch to be something like that. Like I could see what we could do here. But I did want to serve just people with disabilities. I wanted to be able to serve all abilities, and I wanted to incorporate everybody together. So I started developing a curriculum where kids are learning to ride horses, along with focusing on those physical skills, cognitive skills, social and emotional skills. And the first summer was 2017, and we established it in 2016. It was like Christmas at 2016. And then it was like, let's get to work, and how are we going to do this next summer? And so that first summer, we had about 50 kids come through our riding program. And we had invited our nursing home in Hills, Minnesota, the Tooth Home. We had invited them over, where they came over and sat outside of our pasture. So a couple of people got on horses, and we had coffee and cookies and talked about their histories on the farm, and we fell in love with that idea. So that sparked the interest for our Senior Saddles program. So our Senior Saddles program started with just the Tooth Home in Hills, Minnesota. And then our riding program started with about 50 kids that first year. Fast forward to this past year, in 2025, we had over 3,300 people come through our doors at Rock Ranch. Our Senior Saddles groups has grown. They've come from 12 different places now. We only see them certain times of the year when we can kind of squeeze them in through all the other things that we do. And then our counseling program too, that started in probably 2019, yeah. And that started with just a few sessions, and I'm sure Carissa can tell you more about that too. But we built this building, the arena behind us, in 2020. And when we built the arena, then we could go year round. And so once we built that arena, we could offer services year round. And then we were able to hire staff to help. So Stacy Bunison came in as our office manager, fantastic. We have Jessica Richters, who's our barn manager and our instructor, fabulous. And we have acquired this great team of people working here at Rock Ranch. And then in the meantime, we have had different therapists and counselors come in and join our team, and equine specialists with our counseling program. And once we got all that staff in place, it just exploded. Our counseling sessions in 2021 were We had 20 sessions, and last year we were up to 167. So we're seeing this continual growth in that counseling program. Our writing program is kind of set where we need it to be right now. Our senior saddles is kind of set, but there's still room to grow for our counseling program, and it is showing us that it's growing every single year.
And we're sitting in the most recent addition to the counseling program. And I don't know if Carissa, if you'd like to take this, where did the idea of adding a counseling cabin to Rock Ranch, where did that originate from?
I think the idea was inspired by a group up in Minnesota called Acres for Life. And so we'll go up there sometimes for retreats or for trainings. And Dan and Marie have built a really great relationship with the folks who run Acres for Life, and they've been around a bit longer, so a lot of experience, and they had built cabins. Part of the equine assisted counseling is nature therapy. So we want to be out in nature, and obviously we're up in the north. It's cold in the winter for a long time. So this cabin is going to allow us to do sessions to be able to be warm enough, but then also still feel like we're still in nature and allowing what God's designed around us to help unleash the healing and things that are going on for people in the counseling.
So what drew you to the equine assisted counseling? You know, what is kind of your background?
I got started in it right out of college. I worked at a wilderness camp, and I didn't know that you could do counseling and horses together. And it was, I think God just put that in my lap and connected me with the right people at the right time. And I got to do that right out of college. I got to see the power of what it was doing, especially for teenagers at that time. And then after graduate school, or part of graduate school, I got to do that again. And that was the wilderness camp was in Missouri. And then later in graduate school in Arizona, I got to do more equine assisted counseling there. And then in 2019, when I was introduced to Dan and Marie, then they already had the horses, the facility, the structure, and Marie was able to do the equine specialist side, which is the person who knows the horses well. They're able to pick up on how they are acting differently than they normally do. And there's a story happening with the horses. And then I partner with her as the mental health person to be doing a counseling session, but a very experiential counseling session.
And you use the ARCH, the Arenas for Change Foundation, to lead your counseling session. Can you easily explain to us what ARCH is and how, you know, with the horses in the background and everything in the counseling cabin, how that all works together to get people to talk about trauma or what's bothering them, or for you as a mental health professional, what do you want someone to gain from their sessions?
The first part I tell people usually is that this is an experiential therapy. So there doesn't even have to be talk. And so we can wait until somebody's ready to talk about things. And there can be long periods of silence in a session, and it's fine because there's still a lot going on. There's a lot of processing happening, even if somebody's not verbalizing what's happening. And part of that is being in the space with the animals, the horses especially, but dogs, cats, birds, other creatures, bugs, butterflies, dragonflies, they all show up too. Part of ARCH is externalizing the story. So we are, instead of looking into what's going on and pressing into that, we try to actually pull the story out and have an emotionally safe distance from the story. And we use the word story a lot, and we use metaphors from stories a lot because it's a very approachable language to use. People know how to talk about stories, and we all are full of stories. And we really do believe that when our story changes, we are changing. And then the horses, they respond to that. They do all kinds of things in our sessions that sometimes I can't even believe what they're doing. But they're interacting with it. They're interacting with what's going on with us. And we're in some ways joining their herd and they're just responding to us the way they're designed to respond within a herd. That's also another reason we don't do riding in our counseling sessions. We want the horses to be free to be who they are, how they are, and to respond in sometimes very unique ways to the people. And sometimes we'll even call them story editors because they will change somebody's perspective in a way that I could never, as a counselor, shift somebody's perspective. And sometimes the horses are able to shift somebody's perspective in a dynamic, powerful way that is really neat to see.
And the counseling cabin is really going to help you expand, using our arch method. Because if I understand, people can be inside of here. That's why there's the windows so everybody can look out. There's an observation deck. I assume if they're comfortable, they can be outside and look, or they can actually be in the pen with the horses. I assume that's allowed.
Absolutely, and we call it summertime that our counseling sessions take a big bump. There's a lot more people that want to come in the summertime. And we're finding that if the weather is icky out here, then we have to be inside the arena. But if there's other activities scheduled for the arena, then we can't have the counseling sessions in there. And being out here behind just adds a component of privacy. We have no idea what they're doing up there, and they truly have no idea what we're doing out here. So that component will be very helpful as well. But it's very nice to have a new space where you have all these windows pointing out at nature. Exactly what you said. Clients can have the choice of where they want to be in these spaces. And just that movement and the imagery that this type of experiential therapy provides, it's just priceless. It can make just a world of difference for so many people.
So what do you envision in your next 10 years? Do you have any big plans, or, this is kind of a big leap with the counseling cabin. So your equine assistant counseling is really going to grow. And it's like, where do you go from there?
There is room for that program to grow on a couple of days of the week. So we are prepared for that growth. This absolutely has helped us in that preparation of getting ready for that. We have seen a continual growth in that program. So we're ready for it, and we're trying different things right now. We're doing some mindfulness clinics that are coming up, and we're trying to tweak those and make those exactly what they should be and what's going to work for the people that come to those. So we're kind of doing a little trial and error with that right now and seeing what is going to be the right fit and what could this look like. And with that, I think it'll spur new ideas between the counselors. We have 2 counselors that are working with us that are fantastic. We have a social worker as well that is really interested in the mindfulness clinics and doing some more of that. So we have a lot of different options that we're looking at. And so the future's bright. It's going to be exciting to see what happens and how that program continues to grow.
Well, you're well received in the community. You get a lot of support. So with the barn and the counseling cabin, this comes through grants, donations, people giving up their time and their talent to make these things happen. You have a couple public things coming up at Rock Fringe. First would be the music announce the Sioux Falls Stampede game is an opportunity for Rock Ranch to shine. I don't know if you know a lot of specifics yet.
We'll actually be posting that information soon on our Facebook site, our Rock Ranch, and how to get those tickets and how to get those discounted tickets. And Rock Ranch will get some of those proceeds from that game. So that is exciting. We also have a tax sale coming up. And what date is that?
March 21st.
March 21st. So that brings in a lot of different people for a vendor fair in a tax swap. And that benefits Rock Ranch as well.
So social media, that's under Rock Ranch on Facebook, and then it's Ride Rock Ranch for the website.
RideRockRanch.org, Instagram.
Sure. Well, thank you for your time today. And thank you for joining us for being on the road today with Star Media at Rock Ranch.